A modern electric knife with a safety handguard is used to cut out the...
The county firemen got themselves up like invaders from...
Removes the lead paint on the house's exterior using only water.
Behind those colorful memories of the 1980s, there were household products lurking on shelves that we trusted without question. From seemingly innocent cleaners to everyday items, many of these products were hiding something far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. So, join us as we journey through time to uncover 20 dangerous household products from the 1980s, now banned forever. Lead-based paint was once a staple in homes across the United States, adorning everything from walls to toys, furniture, and even cribs. It was loved for its durability and vibrant color, but little did people know, it was also incredibly dangerous, especially to children. Lead is a heavy metal, and over time, when lead-based paint chips or peels off walls, it turns into dust that can be easily inhaled or ingested. This is particularly harmful to young children, whose developing bodies are much more sensitive to toxins.
When the paint deteriorates, it frees chips and dust to contaminate everything in the area. Those most at risk are children.
By the late 1970s, experts had linked lead exposure to serious health risks, prompting the U.S. government to take action. In 1978, the government banned lead-based paint for residential use. While we have made significant progress in reducing lead exposure and protecting children from these hidden dangers, it is important to remain vigilant, as lead can still be found in older homes. Back in the 1980s, asbestos was widely used and hailed for its incredible fire-resistant properties. It was incorporated into a variety of products including insulation, flooring, roofing materials, and car brakes, as a seemingly safe and durable solution for both household and industrial applications. However, as time went on, scientists began uncovering a much darker reality.
Chrysatile's hairy texture and the fire resistance innate to all asbestos minerals made it incredibly useful for firefighting materials like firewood.
It turns out that inhaling asbestos fibers can lead to serious health problems. Prolonged exposure to these tiny fibers is linked to lung cancer, asbestosis, and mesothelioma, a rare but deadly cancer affecting the lining of the lungs. By the 1980s, the evidence regarding the dangers of asbestos was becoming increasingly clear, and countries like the U.S. began to take action to ban asbestos from household products. While significant concerns had already been raised in earlier decades, the 1980s marked a turning point in public awareness and regulatory efforts to protect people from the hidden dangers of asbestos. Now, let's talk about chlorofluorocarbons, CEFCs. These chemicals were widely used as propellants in aerosol sprays and in air conditioning systems. At the time, they provided a convenient and effective way to deliver products like hairsprays, deodorants, and some cleaning products. However, CFCs were causing significant damage to the ozone layer, the Earth's protective shield that prevents harmful UV radiation from reaching us. When scientists realized that CFCs were breaking down the ozone layer, which is crucial for protecting life on Earth, it prompted widespread concern. By the late 1980s, this led to a concerted effort to ban products containing CFCs. In 1989, the Montreal Protocol came into effect.
The button on top is used in hundreds of ways to make your life easier and more pleasant. It contains an aerosol. And of course you know what this...
Calling for the global phasing out of CFCs. This agreement marked one of the first major international efforts to protect the environment, and it has been successful. Since then, the ozone layer has slowly started to recover, demonstrating the positive impact of coordinated global action. As we explore the impact of CFCs on our ozone layer, it raises the question, what other everyday conveniences are silently harming our planet? Back in the 1980s, people didn't think twice about some of the products they use daily. Take ceramic cookware, for instance. It was stylish, durable, and perfect for whipping up a family dinner. However, many were unaware that some of these pots and pans were coated with lead-based glazes. Lead, a toxic metal, can leach into food during cooking.
If it turns a dark red, there's lead. If it doesn't change color, you're good. I think we're good on the inside.
posing serious health risks. This is particularly concerning for children, as lead exposure can damage the brain and nervous system. Concerns about lead in ceramics began to emerge in the 1970s, leading to increased scrutiny and regulation in the following decades. Thankfully, science and public awareness have come a long way since then, ensuring that our homes are much safer now than they were back in the day. Imagine living in a time when a seemingly harmless household item could quietly wreak havoc not just on your health, but on the environment as well. That's exactly the story of PCBs, or polychlorinated biphenyls. These chemicals were widely used in the mid-20th century for their versatility, found in applications such as electrical equipment, adhesives, and paint. They were praised for being non-flammable and incredibly durable, qualities that made them seem like a miracle solution for various industries. However, PCBs were too durable.
PCBs were used because of their fire resistance, chemical stability, and electrical insulating properties.
They do not break down easily, meaning they persist in the environment for decades. As concerns about their safety began to emerge in the 1960s and 1970s, studies showed that PCBs could accumulate in the bodies of animals and humans, causing a range of health problems, from cancer to issues with the immune, reproductive, and nervous systems. In response to these findings, the United States banned the production of PCBs in 1979, and other countries followed suit, recognizing the dangers they posed to both people and the planet. Imagine opening a can of soup or vegetables in the 1980s, unaware that the very packaging designed to preserve your food might be posing a health risk. Many canned goods at the time were sealed using lead-based solder, a material that contains lead. While it effectively kept cans airtight, it also had a dangerous downside. Over time, lead could leach into the food inside, especially if the contents were acidic, such as tomatoes or fruits. Consuming even small amounts of lead is harmful, as it accumulates in the body and can lead to serious health problems, including brain damage, kidney issues.
It leaches into the food, and the food goes into your stomach.
The new study, No Silver Lining, found that 46 out of 50 cans of food
and developmental delays in children. As scientists and health experts raised concerns about the dangers of lead exposure, governments took action. By the 1980s, most countries, including the U.S., had phased out the use of lead-based solder in food cans, replacing it with safer alternatives like welded seams. This shift marked an important step in improving food safety and protecting public health. As we uncover the hidden dangers of lead in canned goods, one might ask, what other food packaging materials could be jeopardizing our health? The 1980s marked a turning point in how we thought about household cleaning products. During this time, homes were filled with chemical-heavy cleaners that promised to tackle grime and germs, but often came with serious health and environmental risks. Products containing harsh chemicals like chlorine bleach and ammonia were everyday staples. While powerful, their fumes could irritate the eyes, lungs, and skin, and mixing certain products accidentally could produce toxic fumes.
Blueberry, grapes, gravy. What doesn't Clorox bleach do?
Doesn't splash like other bleaches. This new spout's the best.
As awareness grew about these risks, consumers began seeking safer options. Companies responded by developing products with fewer harsh chemicals, focusing on ingredients that were effective yet kinder to both humans and the planet. For instance, plant-based cleaners and biodegradable ingredients started gaining popularity. This shift also paved the way for better labeling and transparency. Consumers increasingly demanded to know what was inside their cleaning products, sparking conversations about safety and sustainability. Although it was a slow process, the 1980s planted the seeds for the eco-friendly cleaning revolution we see today. Let's talk about pesticides from the 1980s, a time when many homes and gardens were using products that, while effective at killing pests, also posed serious threats to people and the planet. Pesticides like DDT, chlordane, and aldrin were widely available and promised to eliminate pesky bugs and protect crops, but they came with significant risks. DDT, in particular, was a superstar in pest control. heavily used not just in agriculture but also in residential areas to ward off mosquitoes.
Disinfected by this artificial fog generator, which works equally well indoors or out. A scientific achievement with a big future in the battle for homegrown.
It was initially celebrated for its effectiveness. However, scientists soon discovered that DDT didn't just kill insects, it lingered in the environment for years, building up in the food chain. This persistence meant that birds, fish, and eventually humans were ingesting it, leading to reproductive issues and even cancer. As a result of these findings, DDT was banned in the U.S. by 1972, but its effects were still felt in the 1980s, as many countries began to phase it out. By this time, awareness of the dangers associated with certain pesticides was increasing, prompting consumers to seek safer alternatives for pest control. Imagine turning on the tap in your 1980s home, unaware that the pipes carrying your water might be exposing you to a silent danger. During this time, lead pipes and plumbing fixtures were common because lead was cheap, durable, and easy to work with, making it a popular choice for plumbing systems. However, as the years went by, scientists uncovered a concerning truth. Lead in drinking water could cause severe health problems, especially for children and pregnant women. When water sits in lead pipes, it can pick up lead particles, turning something as essential as a glass of water into a health hazard.
Maybe a key or something, and you scratch it, it comes up very shiny, it scratches very easily. So that's how you can tell if you have a lead line.
Prolonged exposure to lead-contaminated water has been linked to developmental issues in children, kidney damage, and even high blood pressure in adults. By the late 1980s, growing awareness of these risks led to stricter regulations. The U.S. banned the use of lead in plumbing systems through the Safe Drinking Water Act amendments in 1986, marking a significant step toward improving public health and safety. As we confront the reality of lead in our plumbing, it begs the question, what other sources of contamination might be flowing through our homes? Imagine this, it's the 1980s, and you're sprucing up your home with new furniture or fresh-smelling household products. Everything seems fine, until scientists start raising concerns about a chemical lurking in these everyday items, formaldehyde. This chemical was a popular ingredient in a surprising number of products, from pressed wood furniture and carpeting to certain cleaning supplies and even some cosmetics. It was valued for its preservative properties, helping products last longer and preventing mold and bacteria growth. However, by the 1980s, research revealed that formaldehyde wasn't as harmless as it seemed. Long-term exposure could cause irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat, and in higher concentrations, it was linked to serious health issues, including respiratory problems and even cancer. The mounting evidence was enough to prompt action, leading many governments around the world to begin restricting its use in consumer products. Mercury thermometers, once a household staple for checking fevers or boiling water temperatures, were gradually phased out in the 1980s for a very good reason. Mercury is incredibly toxic. Mercury is a heavy metal that can evaporate at room temperature, turning into a dangerous vapor. If a mercury thermometer broke, it could release hazardous fumes, posing a risk to those in the vicinity. Even small amounts of mercury exposure can harm the brain, kidneys, and nervous system, especially in young children and pregnant women. The risks didn't stop there. When discarded, mercury thermometers often ended up in landfills, where the mercury could seep into the soil or water supply, creating an environmental concern. And this contamination could make its way into the food chain, particularly affecting fish, where mercury buildup is a significant issue. Thankfully, safer alternatives, such as digital thermometers and alcohol-based thermometers, became widely available and eventually replaced the mercury-filled versions, marking an important step in improving public health and safety. In the 1980s, kids played with lots of brightly colored toys like dolls, trucks, and building blocks. These toys looked fun and harmless. But beneath that shiny, vibrant paint was a hidden danger: lead. During this time, many toys were coated with lead-based paints because lead made the colors pop and helped the paint last longer. However, the risks associated with lead exposure, especially for children, were becoming increasingly clear. Kids are naturally curious, often putting toys in their mouths or handling them, and then touching their faces, which meant lead could easily enter their bodies. The effects of lead poisoning are serious. It can harm brain development, cause learning difficulties, lower IQ, and lead to long-term health problems. As awareness grew and scientific studies confirmed these risks, governments around the world began to take action. By the late 1980s, many countries, including the United States, banned the use of lead-based paints on toys, marking a significant step toward protecting children's health and safety. As we uncover the dangers of lead in children's toys, one can't help but ask, what other seemingly innocent playthings could be harmful? Some household cleaners used in the past could have been incredibly dangerous when mixed together. A notable example is the combination of bleach with certain other cleaners. When these products were mixed, they could produce chlorine gas, a harmful substance that can be deadly if inhaled in large amounts.
For getting to really difficult to clean places. And the spray is super accurate and very fine.
This occurs because bleach contains sodium hypochlorite, and when mixed with cleaners that contain ammonia or acids, it releases chlorine gas. Exposure to this gas can cause severe respiratory issues, burning of the eyes, throat irritation, and even long-term lung damage. In extreme cases, it can be life-threatening. By the 1980s, as awareness of these dangers grew, regulatory actions were taken to address the risks associated with mixing cleaners. Certain products that could react with bleach to release chlorine gas were banned or reformulated to enhance safety, marking an important step in protecting consumers from hazardous chemical reactions in the home. Back in the 1980s, treating furniture with pesticides was a common practice, as pesticides were widely used in various applications, including food and fabrics to keep bugs away. However, many of these pesticides contained harmful chemicals linked to serious health risks. One of the most concerning pesticides was DDT, dichlorodiphenyl trichloroethane, which had been widely used for its powerful ability to kill pests. Although DDT was banned in the U.S. in 1972 due to its dangerous environmental and health impacts, similar chemicals continued to be used in household products, including on furniture, for many years. Over time, it became clear that these treatments posed unacceptable risks to human health, particularly for children and pets who were more likely to be exposed through regular contact with treated surfaces. By the 1980s, as awareness of these dangers grew, regulations tightened and furniture treated with harmful pesticides, especially those containing chemicals like chlorpyrifos and permethrin, began to be phased out. This marked an important step in improving safety standards for household products. Back in the 1980s, the world began to awaken to serious health concerns about the beauty products we were applying to our skin. One of the major issues was the presence of lead in cosmetics. For decades, lead had been found in a variety of makeup products, including lipstick. Lead is a heavy metal that, when absorbed into the body, can lead to a range of serious health issues, particularly in children and pregnant women. Chronic exposure to lead can result in developmental delays in children, among other health problems. During the 1980s, studies began to demonstrate just how harmful lead exposure could be, not only from sources like old paint or contaminated water, but also from the cosmetics we use daily. This realization prompted a crackdown on cosmetics containing lead. In 1988, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, established strict limits on lead levels in cosmetics, effectively banning any product with a high enough level of lead to pose a risk to health. This marked a significant step in improving the safety of beauty products for consumers. As we confront the presence of lead in cosmetics, it raises the question, what other beauty products might be hiding toxic ingredients? In the 1980s, awareness grew regarding the environmental impact of everyday products, with chlorine bleach being a significant concern. For years, chlorine bleach had been a go-to for keeping clothes white and disinfected.
Dirty gym clothes, just pop some of this Clorox laundry sanitizer in it, kind of freshen.
However, as more studies emerged, scientists discovered that chlorine bleach was not only tough on stains, but also detrimental to the environment. When released into the environment, chlorine bleach could break down into harmful chemicals that contaminated water sources, disrupted aquatic life, and contributed to air pollution. Additionally, it posed health risks to people through inhalation of fumes and skin contact. In response to these concerns, environmental groups began raising alarms, prompting governments to pay attention. By the late 1980s, there was a concerted effort to find safer alternatives. Manufacturers responded by developing new, less harmful cleaning agents that effectively whitened clothes and removed stains without the toxic side effects, marking an important step toward more sustainable cleaning practices. Back in the 1980s, many products that were thought to be safe were found to be hiding serious health risks. One surprising culprit was vinyl flooring. Many vinyl floors from that time contained lead, posing a significant threat, especially to children.
Has some kind of rigidity, that it's not too saggy when you hold it up, and this one does have a solid core, so it's rigid.
Lead is a toxic metal that can cause a range of health problems, including brain damage and developmental delays in kids. Lead was used in the production of vinyl flooring to enhance its flexibility and durability. However, over time, scientists discovered just how harmful lead exposure could be, particularly when it breaks down and releases dust into the air. By the 1980s, it became clear that the risks associated with lead in vinyl flooring outweighed the benefits. As a result, regulations were implemented to ban lead-containing vinyl flooring, marking a significant victory for public health and greatly reducing the chances of lead poisoning from common household materials. Back in the 1980s, many people were unaware that their everyday dinnerware could pose serious health risks. Ceramic plates, bowls, and mugs, especially those with colorful, shiny glazes, were often made using lead-based materials. While these products added aesthetic appeal to the dinner table, they presented significant health hazards, particularly for young children. Lead is a toxic substance that can accumulate in the body over time, leading to a range of harmful effects from developmental delays in children to high blood pressure in adults. When lead-based glazes were applied to ceramics, the issue extended beyond their attractive colors. These glazes could break down over time, especially when exposed to heat or acidic foods, releasing harmful lead particles that could contaminate the food consumed. As the dangers of lead exposure became more apparent, health experts and regulatory bodies began to take action. By the late 1980s, many countries, including the United States, started banning the use of lead-based glazes in household ceramics, marking an important step in protecting public health. Dioxins are a group of extremely dangerous chemicals known for their high toxicity to both humans and animals. Rather than being a single compound, dioxins comprise a family of chemicals created during certain industrial processes, such as burning waste or manufacturing pesticides. One of the most infamous dioxins is 2,3,7,8-tetrachlorodibenzo-P-dioxin, TCDD, which gained notoriety as a key component of Agent Orange, the toxic herbicide used during the Vietnam War. During the 1960s and 70s,
having fewer troops and outdated weaponry, the North Vietnamese couldn't engage in direct confrontations.
TCDD was employed in Agent Orange to defoliate large areas of jungle, aiming to destroy the dense vegetation that provided cover for enemy forces. However, the side effects were devastating, impacting not only the environment but also the health of those exposed, including veterans and local populations. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, recognized the dangers posed by dioxins in the late 1970s and 1980s. leading to increased scrutiny and regulatory action. Ultimately, dioxins were banned in 1987, marking a significant step in addressing the public health and environmental risks associated with these toxic chemicals. After discussing the toxicity of dioxins, it raises the question, what other industrial byproducts are lurking in our environment? In the 1980s, trichloroethylene, TCE, was a widely used chemical found in a range of household products, including degreasers, dry cleaning solvents, and adhesives. At the time, it was hailed as an incredibly effective solvent, ideal for removing grease, cleaning fabrics, and bonding materials.
If it is just TCE or other chemicals, and that's why we've undertaken this litigation and bringing these claims in order to go forward to find out some of this stuff.
Many households had TCE containing products without realizing the potential risks. However, as research progressed, scientists began to uncover the serious health consequences associated with TCE exposure. Prolonged contact with this chemical was linked to liver and kidney damage, nervous system problems, and even an increased risk of cancer. By the mid-1980s, the evidence regarding the risks of TCE became too significant to ignore. As a result, its use in household products was banned in many countries. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, began restricting TCE's use, prompting companies to seek safer alternatives. This marked an important step in improving public health and safety regarding household chemicals.